the rare earths, and this is the business of green. Today we'll be looking at the rare earth space and its role in the future of green energy. To discuss it, we are joined by Bill Radback. He's President and CEO of American Vanadium, a TSX Venture-listed company poised to become the only producer of vanadium in the U.S. Bill, thanks for joining us. Vanadium, what is it? What's it do?
Good morning. Vanadium's been a very important metal in the production of steel for a good number of years. When you add about 0.1, 0.2% vanadium content in your steel, you actually can increase the strength about 50%. And now how that's being seen is actually vanadium is it's a green metal in that when you use it, you can actually reduce the amount of steel in your structures by up to 30%. So it's saving on iron ore, saves on shipping, saves on even on the environmental cost. China itself is implementing new building codes that actually phase out rebar that doesn't have vanadium. And that seems like quite an innocuous change in the code. However, that alone may actually impact the total world demand by up to 40% to give you a sense of the value of vanadium.
And how is your company poised to take advantage of that? In the introduction, I said you are pretty much the biggest maker or provider of this stuff in America. Is that accurate?
Not quite yet, but we're on the verge. So we're now finishing up our feasibility study this quarter. Right now, the United States actually imports 95% of its vanadium, almost all that coming from Venezuela, Russia, China, and South Africa. So only about 5% comes domestically from as a byproduct from. So we expect to be in production, best case, 18 months. Obviously, that's permit dependent, but we're going fairly well through that process. So becoming the only U.S. supplier of vanadium has a number of very strong possibilities, not just for the steel industry, but into the renewable energy space.
Okay, yeah, well, take us into that side of the equation. But before we get there, the new rules in China, how is it going to affect the overall global supply-demand equation that you're looking at as you get closer and closer to production?
Yeah. China actually wasn't using any vanadium in any measurable amounts till around year 2000. Since then, they actually now consume more vanadium than the rest of the world. But they still only use, on average, and if you put together all their steel, about 0.035% vanadium content, while the U.S. has about 0.09. So with their new 5-year plan, they're making vanadium a key component to increase their efficiency, and they're making a steel. So if they're able to implement this, phase this in over the next number of years, it really will have a strong impact because there's not a lot of new projects coming on stream over the next 5-10 years.
All right. Now, what is the green aspect here? You mentioned that just briefly. How is vanadium used? How can it be used?
Well, importantly in the U.S., there's a number of issues. On the renewable energy side, the wind and solar has been receiving a lot of funding. And they're building out their solutions. However, now they clearly understand their biggest issue is they don't have storage. And in fact, the U.S. Department of Energy now calls the electric grid in the U.S. the largest supply chain without a warehouse. So essentially, you're creating all this energy, you're either using it or you're dumping it. So primarily, the grid is designed to be built for peak capacity, and it's better now, more efficient to put in mass storage. And the only one that's actually in early stage sale as a mass storage battery called vanadium flow batteries, which are essentially large tanks of vanadium and sulfuric acid. It's about a third of the cost. But these are multi-million dollar batteries that are fully scalable to any size. They got a number of really key attributes that they'll take a charge and discharge almost instantly. They're fully scalable. And vanadium is actually used as both the anode and the cathode in these batteries. So there's only one metal. So after 20 years, there'll still be the same vanadium in the battery. So hugely efficient, hugely cost-effective opportunity.
And Bill, right now, what is the environment like for raising capital, given the volatility that we've seen in the markets? How has the response been to you when you're knocking on doors?
Right now, well, we're in pretty good shape. Actually, we have $7 million cash, no debt. And we have found in the last number of months, we're up to about 20% institutionally held from zero. So we've got getting great support. Dundee led the last round. And we're now looking hard, once we get a feasibility study, of raising the money we need for production, which from the scoping study previously published was around $95 million. So for us, actually, it's been a big change. I've been with the company 18 months. When I started, I didn't know much about vanadium, but the investment market sure didn't.
All right, Bill,
forward,
I'm afraid I'm
been
going to have to jump in. Bill, I'm afraid we're going to have to end it there. Thank you so much for bringing your story to us today. We appreciate it.
Appreciate myself.
That is Bill Radback. He is the president and CEO of American Vanadium.